First, I would like to clarify that Swamiji never talked about destiny. Okay, so this the clarification or the answers that I give with regard to destiny and free will, I generally refer to the stories that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to tell. Okay, and of course there are other stories also which explain what's the extent of free will that we have, and how much is destiny or God's will or God's road. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that first. Let me take the first part of your question. You are saying Swamiji coming into our life, is it destiny? So, as I said, Swamiji never used the term destiny. Okay, Telugu or Kannada, it would be like Vidhi. It's a Sanskrit term. In Telugu, we call it Talarata, meaning what's written on our forehead. So that's how we refer to destiny. But then what Swamiji used, I mean, the terms that Swamiji used, now this reminds me of two terms that Swamiji used. One of them is connection. He used this English term called connection, and he used to use it very often. Okay. Now, exactly what did he mean by connection? I'm not very clear about it because he never defined it. But he used to say, unless there is a connection, nobody can come to Swamiji. Okay. So if you want to take that connection as destiny or a connection from prior lifetimes, okay, you have been with Swamiji in his prior lifetimes, meaning you in your prior lifetimes have been with Swamiji in his prior lifetimes, or probably in this lifetime of Swamiji, we wouldn't know, okay. So it is that connection that has brought you back to Swamiji. This is Swamiji's way of putting it. So I just wanted to share that, okay. Now, the second factor, again, Swamiji used to put a lot of importance on this one. He used to say, until the right time comes, nothing will happen. Okay. And then he used to take his own example. I mean, we know this destiny, we know how great an Atma he was. We say he's an incarnation of Shiva, an Amsha of Shiva. And in the past lives, he has been Ramakrishna, he has been all those great people, all the Mahatmas, right? And now he was born in that little village of Adivaratpeta, and he grew up in that utter poverty, right? But then Swamiji used to say, in his 14th year, in this lifetime, in Satyaraju's lifetime, on the 7th of August 1949, at about 2:45 p.m., the right time came. That is why Lord Shiva came down to the earth, manifested in front of him as a Jangamadevara and initiated him into tapas, right? I mean, until then, there's no reference to this boy performing tapas or anything like that, right? I mean, he was not a great devotee. He was not learned in the Vedas or anything like that, right? But yet, that thing happened to Satyaraju. So he used to say the right time has to come. Okay. So for each one of us to come to the Guru, the right time has to come. So your right time had come at that time. So that's the reason you came to the Guru. Okay. Is that clear, Amma?
Yes, Anna, very much. Thank you.
Okay. Now let me move to the second part of your question, right? You said, while we making the effort to attend his programs is free will. Of course, it is free will, but then Swamiji also stressed on the self-effort that you need to put into it. Okay? I think that's what you mean. Let me share a story, okay? Because exactly this topic was discussed. And then this story was shared by a lawyer from Agra. When myself and Tom, we went to Agra to collect experiences of devotees. I mean, I don't remember his name. So he was a close devotee of Swamiji. Okay, I am talking about 1996 when we visited Agra to talk to these devotees of Swamiji. But then Swamiji had been there some time ago. Probably the last time he was in Agra was 89 or 87. I'm not sure. Okay, but these people have been devotees of Swamiji since 67 or 66, 1966. Okay, so he told me a very interesting experience. It seems he used to go to the Badawar house. So that's the local royal palace, and the erstwhile king was Swamiji's devotee. So that's why he hosted Swamiji there. And all these devotees would go to that palace, Badawar house, in the evenings when Swamiji was there, just to have darshan, bhajan, prasad, and all that regular program. Okay. So he used to be there almost every evening after returning from the court. So one evening, he says he returned home from court, but he was so tired, okay, that he decided that he won't go to the Badawar house for that evening because he was feeling too tired. He just lied down on the bed and he wanted to sleep. Okay, so as he slept with his head on his arm like this, after a while, when he was just about to fall asleep, he started listening to the bhajans that were going on at the Badawar house. I mean, he started listening to some bhajans. He was actually hearing some bhajans. So the kind of bhajans that go on at the Badawar house. So he was very surprised, and then he tried to understand from where is this sound coming. My house is very far away from the Badawar house. I mean, obviously there was no tape recorder or anything playing in the house at that time. So he was wondering from where this sound came. Then he just got up and he was trying to look around, and then the bhajan stopped. He said, "No, maybe this is just my imagination because I used to go to the Badawar house every evening." And again, he lied down with his hand like this. Again, he started listening to the bhajans. Okay. Then he tried removing his hand. Whenever he removed his hand from the ear, he wouldn't listen to the bhajans. But when he put his hand back to the ear, he would start listening to the bhajans. So he kept doing 3, 4 times like this, and then he was smiling to himself, laughing to himself, and enjoying it. Okay. Remember, he was very tired. Suddenly, he moved into this mood where he was enjoying the bhajans. Okay. So his wife was looking at him and wondering, what is this guy doing? He wanted to lie down. He told me that he won't go to the Badawar house today. He didn't want to attend the program. And all of a sudden, he gets up and then he's doing this 3, 4 times. What is happening? So she went to him and said, what is happening to you? What are you doing? You wanted to lie. He said, don't disturb me. I'm listening to the bhajans. He said, what bhajans? Where? He said, I'm listening to the bhajans that are going on at the Badawar house. Okay, then, I mean, probably they must have had a good laugh. So he got up, he got dressed up, and then he caught the bus and went to the Badawar house. Coincidentally, it seems after the program that evening, there was some discussion about the same subject. Okay. How much is destiny? How much is our will, and our effort, individual effort, self effort? How much is that? What is the role that that plays, and what is destiny? Okay. So then this lawyer, I mean, I'll just call him Sharmaji, okay? So this Sharmaji, he started arguing with the others, saying that it's all God's will. We cannot do anything. We don't have any role to play. It's all God's will. Okay, but they were arguing with him. No, of course, there is something called self-effort. We have to put in our effort. We have to do our part. Only then God will help us. So that kind of an argument was going on. So then, to prove his point, he went to Swamiji, and then he dragged Swamiji into the argument. Okay, he said, Swamiji, today it was you who brought me to this place. Okay, you called me, you brought me here. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, it was my decision not to come today. But still, you brought me here. So then Swamiji replied to him, yes, it is true that I called you. But unless you got up from the bed, had a wash, dressed up, had a cup of tea, caught the bus, and you came here. If you did not do all of that, in spite of my calling, you wouldn't have been here. Okay? So it's true that Swamiji called you. Swamiji is not denying that. But you also did your part. That is why you are here. Okay? So in essence, there is God's will, there is destiny. We refer to God's will as destiny, right? And then there is also self-effort. Okay, so both of them put together only, things get done. So if I go by this story, then your statement is true, right?
Yes, Anna.
I just wanted to add another point, Amma.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it's not about you, okay? So please don't mistake me.
Yeah.
This is actually a song by a great devotee by the name of Purandara Dasa. Okay, what he writes, it's very interesting. What he writes is, unlike other things, other skills, devotion, I mean, it's not a skill, right? It's very clear. Devotion cannot be learned by looking at others, by listening to others, or by reading books. There is no way devotion can be learned. Devotion comes to us by the blessings of the Guru or the God. Okay, so it is devotion which draws us close to the Guru or close to God. But even that devotion, which draws us close to Him, is but His blessing. Okay, so that's a song. So I thought that's a very beautiful way of putting it. That even the devotion that takes us to God is also His blessing. If that blessing is not there, we won't develop the devotion, and it cannot be learned. Okay, so I just wanted to share this along with that. Okay, ma? Thank
Yes,
you.
Anand.